the last one with an iPhone, or I take that back. I was probably one of the last ones to get an iPhone, and I fought it every step of the way. I didn't want an iPhone, but I was proud of that. Now I love iPhone, but I think that sometimes people are motivated strongly by keeping up with family members, friends, neighbors, wanting to get on board. But I guess at the end of the day, the point is there's all these different reasons, but they buy for their reasons. Now, even if sometimes we have to help them know what those reasons are, sometimes we have to clarify those reasons for them, but they buy for their reasons. And it's important from a strategic standpoint to make sure that we are helping them identify their reasons and supporting that. One of the reasons why a lot of sales presentations go on longer than they need to is I've heard a tendency for people to spend time on all the reasons why, or focus on the reasons why something's important to me, why I did it, why it's important to me. And that person's like, couldn't care less. That's not their reason. People don't buy for our reasons. They don't buy for whatever the survey says is the top reason. They buy for their reasons. So our job is to find out what would be their reasons for buying. And sometimes they're right up front and they know, and it's clearly identified. And sometimes we bring it out of them, we draw it out of them by our questions, and then they go, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. That is huge. But our job is to help them identify and clarify what their reasons are and then support those reasons. Now, they also buy because they trust us. And, if they don't trust us, it's a lot harder. They have their reasons why, but they have to trust us. And also because they believe that the solution that we're offering will help them solve a problem, fill a need. Sometimes it's to fulfill a desire, but more often than not, it's because they see it as solving a problem. Not because it's perfect, by the way, right? I think sometimes we get hung up on presenting a perfect solution or why it's got to be the best thing or whatever. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be better than the alternative, and it has to solve a problem, which is important when we get into talking about objections. I think sometimes we answer objections and try to overcome objections that are irrelevant, because all we have to have is one dominant buying motive of what this will do for them, and a problem that it will solve, and a pain that it will take away, and people will do things, even though they could list off 10 reasons why it doesn't make sense, or it's not a good idea, it's not saving money, whatever. It just takes one powerful enough problem that it solves, need that it fills, pain that it stops, for people to do it. So we all know that they buy for their reasons. We know basically what those reasons are, but we don't know individually what theirs are. We just know these are the odds. We know that this is the most likely, but these are some of the other reasons. So part of our process going through is to find out what it is for them and what it is that's going to get them across the finish line. Because urgency, when we start tying things into urgency, we're going to talk about creating urgency internally versus externally. And if you are clear about their why, it's a lot easier to create urgency without feeling like pressure. The question came up earlier, the concern about creating that urgency, getting people to do something today without it feeling like I'm that guy. I'm trying to pressure them into doing something just because I say they need to do it today. But the stronger their why, the more clear they are about their why, the better I understand what would drive them to do this, that dominant buying motive, easier it is for me to create urgency without feeling like pressure, right? So in order to do that, to get that to happen and get them to the yes, obviously there's some things that have to happen. One is they have to listen to us. I think it's fair to say that if they're not willing to listen to us, we've got a problem. So we need to get people to listen to us. We have to get them to trust us. There's things that we're going to identify to do that. They have to agree with us, which they don't have to agree about everything, but on the large points, they have to agree. And then ultimately that urgency comes down to we need to get them to commit and to take action. So, there's nothing like having people agree with you all the way along, but then still saying, I agree with everything you're saying, I'm just not going to do it. You ever had that happen where they don't even have a reason why they're not going to do it? They're just like, no, you're right. I agree. That totally makes sense. I'm just going to hold off. And you're like, I don't get it. Right? If you know you want to do it, if you know it makes sense, you know it's going to save you money, why wouldn't you? People fear commitment. They fear change, right? So sometimes they just hesitate, and we have to help them get that obstacle out of their way, get them out of their own way to do something they know they should do. So how do we get that to happen? So one of the things that we'll definitely be talking about is limiting how many points or topics we're going to discuss. Because I want to ask you a question. I made the joke about the sandwich earlier. And